is the Faith Guy with another drive-by homily. Again, I am using my iPhone 4 to record this video, and I'm using iLife 11, iMovie 11, to edit this video. Well, this is the penultimate Sunday in Ordinary Time. This is the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, and then next week we will have the 33rd Sunday in Ordinary Time, which is technically the last Sunday in Ordinary Time, and then we have the celebration of Christ the King, which ends the whole liturgical year. So, with that being said, our readings this week, without a doubt, speak to us of the reality of the afterlife in heaven. Now, that's something that I touched upon last week in my 31st Sunday homily, but today we're going to take dead aim on the reality of eternity. Now, the problem as I see it in our world today, one of the reasons why religion has it fails to maybe ignite the hearts and souls of people is probably for a lot of reasons, but simply I'm going to distill it and say that modern life has a lot to recommend it. Modern life is very pleasant. Modern life is very pleasurable. You know, you look at even people that are poor in our country, and although I'm not saying that they aren't really poor, of course they are, but even poor people in our country enjoy a standard and a quality of life that people say in third world countries do not enjoy. And mortality in third world countries obviously is much, much higher. A lot of babies are either die right after they're born, or children are, die of diseases early in life. And that used to be the way it was for the entire world. But after industrialization, of course, and now modernization, we who live in a modern culture, we enjoy a lot of amenities that keep us alive. There's a lot of people who probably would may not have lived very long because of modern medicine. And so we have to be thankful for those things that we do. We are privileged to enjoy. But a lot of things that we also enjoy are things that, unfortunately, I have to say, keep us from really thinking about the inevitable. Again, the reality that we don't live forever. I'm taking this drive again down Highway 160 on a beautiful autumnal afternoon, and autumn reminds me that there's a time and a place for death. Although, as Leo Buscaglia used to say, it reminds us that there's also a time for gloriously, exiting the stage. Now, you look at the beautiful colors in autumn, the deep reds and golds and burnt siennas and all those beautiful fall colors. And they are beautiful, but it's because things are dying. Things are letting go. We say fall because leaves fall from the tree because they've died. We fall to the earth when we reach the end of our mortality, when we shuffle off this mortal coil, to quote Shakespeare. But that should not be a time of real sadness or grief for us as Christians, because, yes, we come to the end of this life, but, and here's the thing, there is an eternal life. And that's basically what we're supposed to be doing with this life, is preparing for that one. And how do we prepare for eternal life? Well, we recognize that selfishness keeps us from discovering eternal life. Selfishness keeps us from discovering real happiness and peace in this life. And the secret, I think, is and I've met many people, good people, not to say that they're not without faults or without sins, but they have recognized that when they die to selfishness, self-centeredness, their solipsistic ways, they actually enjoy a life that is far better than what you can buy at the mall, by buying the latest gadgets or technology. And that's not to say that you can't use those things to, do things for others and make things that are enjoyable to others. That's one of the things I've learned about cooking, is that, the real joy of cooking isn't eating, but it's in preparing it for others who enjoy eating it, And that's the secret, I think, of real life is, finding out that the world doesn't revolve around me or you. And you recognize that there's a whole big world out there with lots and lots of people. And in some ways, you get a chance to be a part of their lives. If you're too busy being selfish, you really don't get a chance to be a part of anybody's life except your own. And that gets pretty lonely pretty doggone quick. But the reality is that there is truly a heaven. In our world today, our secular world, and it's increasing more and more, the lie is, well, that's all make-believe. Christianity is just a bunch of make-believe. It's all pretend. It's all fantasy, right? Wrong. Jesus Christ was a real man. And I dare say, obviously I say with truth and hope, that he's alive. He's alive now. If he wasn't, I'd be wasting my time driving down this road trying to, share at least a little bit of ideas of faith with others if it wasn't true. But the reality is that there is a God, and there is a heaven, and there is an afterlife, and there's also a hell. So we have to ask ourselves, where do we want to spend eternity, heaven or hell? And I know I asked that question in the last video. But here we see people choosing to realize that, there are things, and this is where it gets a little serious. There are things that can keep us from having a true friendship with God. And if we're going to die as God's friends, we're going to die as, disciples of Christ, then we don't have to worry about dying in this mortal life, this side of resurrection. It comes to an end for all of us. No matter how strong, beautiful, powerful, wise, rich, you think you are right now, it all changes. It'll all change. And the only thing that you're going to have when you are literally clinging to the last few days and hours of life is your faith. And the love of your family and friends. That's all you're going to have. And when you come to that end, and I've seen a few people who have really prepared for that, and they've died absolutely beautiful deaths. Their family around them, they know they're right with God in their hearts. They were ready to die. But a lot of people, unfortunately, will not prepare for eternal life. They will die a very sad, lonely, perhaps even miserable death. But even in that instance, I dare say that God would not abandon them. He would still come as long as they call out to him. But that's all we're going to have at the end when it comes time for us to say goodbye to this beautiful life. And it is a very beautiful life. Sometimes it can be quite seductive. But when we're ready to depart the scene, all we're going to be armed with is our faith. And if that's what you have now, and that's why we use this life to prepare for eternal life. The good things that we do, the love and the kindness that I think that we sow in this life will be meted back to us, at that very crucial hour. If we have made friends with God, we have made friends with the church, we've made friends with Christ, we've made friends with the saints, they're all going to be there at the end for us. Some people might think, well, that's all pie in the sky and it's all fantasy and it's all make-believe. Well, you know what? I've seen people die, and I've seen them die in great loneliness and sadness, and I've seen them die in a state of faith. And I'll tell you this, I would much rather be the latter than the former, because the people who die without faith they truly die alone. But when you die with faith, you've made your peace truly, we used to say, have you made your peace with God? The old Westerns, they're going to string them up, get a rope, and one of the things that the parson would say, we say, well, Pilgrim, I'm going to give you a few minutes to make your peace with God, but see, we have a lifetime to do that. So if you're watching this video And you're kind of scratching your head and saying, why is he talking about heaven? And why is he talking about eternity? I mean, do we really believe that anymore? Well, the answer is we certainly do. And our readings this week on this penultimate Sunday in Ordinary Time strongly remind us to encourage us to prepare for eternal life by living each and every day that we have now for that final day that we will one day say, Dear Lord, I'm coming home to meet you.
Well, it's been Father Francis with another drive-by to New Helmley. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and until next week, keep on keeping on. Thank you for watching.